Ever started a manhwa at midnight and then thinking, okay, just one more chapter and I'll go sleep. For sure, this time. And then boom, it's 5 a.m. That's the exact feeling when we got hooked on this addictive power fantasy manhwa. In this video, I'm going to break down how the author mastered that addictiveness, the same trick that keeps us scrolling way past bedline, so I can spot the golden manhwa worth losing sleep over, or recognize the red flag before it even starts. This is my formula I've pieced together after way too many sleepless nights binge watching at 5 a.m. in the morning. I'll start with the story premise that hooks the reader right away, and then I'll show you the special sauce that causes amazing manhwa or manga like Solo Leveling impossible to drop once you're in. Almost every addictive power fantasy manhwa shares these core ingredients. They're what makes you go, alright, I'm in, and within the first few chapters, it creates momentum. It builds anticipation without you knowing and play around with the curiosity. Starting from the top, the authors throw a clear goal in the reader's face. What are the goals the main character are chasing? Even the deeper reason or core reason unfolds very slowly later on in the later episodes. The sense of direction the author gave is weight enough to keep us invested. See, in Omniscience Reader's viewpoint, what makes me want to read more is the role it plays around with the survival games, and in the Greatest Estate Developer, I want to keep reading to see what happens between the main character and the main character's family when they realize, oh, he's no longer the same person. And in Societal Hunter, I got hooked by what are the skill penalty are after each revive. And in Solo Leveling, it's a similar trick. What would the weakest person do if he gained an upgradable ability in a world where no one else can level it up? That mental image is something to daydream about and crave for, and to prep for the moment of, aha, I was right. That curiosity stimulates dopamine and keeps us awake, and that's why we end up starting solo leveling at 11 p.m. bedtime, and suddenly it's dawn. Next up, clear video game style progression. You've probably already seen manhwas without it, and man, it confuses the heck out of people. Like, why is it stronger now? Where does that skill came from? Where did it get through that? Without some sort of guides, reader can really easily get lost pretty quickly and hit that X if there's nothing else to get hooked on. System provides a medium to summarize all the powers by putting everything into numbers and letters. It's a universal sign no matter what language the reader speaks. They're understood worldwide. The system is so effective that we can rarely find any power comic without them. It turns the story into an MMORPG game that many of us are already familiar with. We start with this weak, naked character and we watch him grow from zero. We build expectation and starting to wonder what's the next skill, what's the next gear, what's the next power up. If you have played any kind of these games, you get it. We get attached to that growth, like you've been running alongside with him, and if the count gets deleted or so, it feels awful, isn't it? Same thing here. When we suddenly shut down a manhwa for bedtime, it's hard to walk away from a character we've watched leveling up. Solo leveling naturally makes the reader attached to Jinwoo as he gets stronger. The milestone levels feels like an achievement that we know Jinwoo is getting rewarded with something special. These rewards also drive the story forwards, which keeps building that anticipation and gets the addiction going. Every great manga has a signature color tone that hits you visually and emotionally. I call it the aura, not this aura, but this color aura. It helps us to get comfortable with the manga fast, and once it grabs you, the whole series just feels right. Solo Leveling Sora is perfect for its team, mostly black and blue with purple blending in later, which I had to say I preferred the purple version. And for some reason, it changes between blue and purple. I wonder if there's any reason. Anyway, black shadow signifies death, fears, and authority, while purple signifies power, ambition, and mystery. If I had to put blue somewhere, then blue is for divinity. Together, cool, deadly, and super stylish. This purple dark combination became a visual signature for solo leveling. It feels unique and welcoming whenever Gino is surrounded by that same color. Many other series use a similar color clue, but solo leveling abuses it. When the colors appear, we know something is going on, and it naturally drives the reader to keep scrolling. Beautiful artwork should come with clean, dynamic fight scene, and that is non-negotiable for addictive manhwa. Even without the plot, killer art alone can pull readers in. Think about the One Punch Man redraw version versus the original. Unless you're just there for the story or the funny part, most people skip the rough one. Nothing beats with a stranger slapping a beautiful artwork in my face. One, All I need is just one strong, beautiful picture, and that alone could pull me into solo leveling. And it wouldn't even matter how bad the plot is, at the very least. I would stay for the beautiful artwork. Good artwork highlight the positives and add another layer of addiction. Alright, I've just listed the must have aspect to even get me started to read the series. Now let's talk about what makes solo leveling so special and addictive. The initial hooks pulls us in, and then the story logic keeps things moving, but solo leveling adds a real spice by pushing the main character into a darker territory. You guessed it right, the moment when he starts killing. The system forces him into a quest that crosses the moral line, commit to a massacres in inescapable circumstances. That tension ramps up curiosity and emphasizes the system's role, which also hints to a side quest behind the system if we'll be able to watch season 3 or 4. The way the author draws Jinwoo to be on the dark side is a razor thin line to walk. The story can easily turn out to be silly, like the elite classroom, which mostly consists of girls, or to the extreme that went fully rampage with a good example of Song as Saya, which warns most people away because it's a 21 plus eventually turns out to be an extremely horror story. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still like the novel, but the anime adaptation wasn't really my cup of tea. Solo Leveling nailed the balance, dark enough to feel intense and real, but not so much that it goes off the rail. Hit me the right way, and we all want to see how far it can go. The power concept of this manhwa blew my mind when I first read it. Back then, I was deep into power fantasies, but so many felt like duplicates of Japanese anime or novels. And then the solo leveling hit me with this one person turning into a whole army. Not like One Punch Man Saitama, who is the power scene of the anime, or the Blue Slime's unity is strength. Ginu himself becomes strong enough to rival an entire army alone. It redefines what power can be by changing the perspective. One overwhelming power individual is broken, but the idea of having multiple broken individual within one army, that's something else. It's like one Saitama versus 100 Saitamas. No other manhwa did this trend back then, so it felt totally fresh and insanely addictive. Of course, nowadays there are many similar manhwas alike, but Solo Leveling carved its own path with this idea that was just brilliant. What's interesting about the story is that it has no boring moment. Even with simple plot, the timeline is set up beautifully and everything overlaps. Main quest, side quest, hunt quest, these are all the true main forces where your finger can't stop scrolling. For the sake of drawing, I'll use the anime timeline as explanation. So here's my timeline of curiosity from episode 1 to episode 25. It all started with a double dungeon, then came the dungeon key he got from the assistant. Then he deletes the dungeon scammer. So far, so good because that's still linear storytelling. And then there's this bad news. By this point, the author has already successfully hooked you, and this is where the real ride begins. We move into the 20 dungeon side quest, the 104th tower, and even the job change quest, all packed into season 1. Then season 2 hits, opening with the red gates along with a bunch of major development, end of the 104 towers, the reawakening, and finally the Jeju Island battle. On the surface, this part still looks linear, but in reality, it's full of plot hooks that constantly push the reader forwards. Inside the red gate, Ginu is described as not human. Then his father suddenly appears. Then there's a cursed random box in episode 15. And finally, those two mysterious guys at the end of the episodes. I'm sure a lot of you wanted to know more and end up going to check the novel or the manhwa right away. Every chapter gives you something to look forward to. Simply thinking just one more chapter and I'll go to sleep, but with all the question in mind, I'm on the way of another chapter. There's no way out of this loop. It's telling me finish this in one setting or I'll never sleep tonight. The manhwa scroll down is another addictive trick. The manhwa is showing the full army in one epic drop, but I find the anime adaptation nailed it in the Jeju Island fights. Especially for the Shadow Army reveal, it gave me the same long scroll vibe. Good artists abuses their medium. Japanese manga uses grids for big impact. Korean and Chinese manhwa uses scroll transition for the cinematic movie-like feel. The longer the scroll, the bigger dopamine hits. Check out this long scroll usage. It's not a bad thing. In fact, it's good. Here are some other manhwa and manhwa examples. It shows the fight intensity like this one in villain initialization or the view scene review in Jungle Juice. It makes you want more, rewind, scroll up and down again. There you go, the formula. The core that's given by hook, game, aura, and art, with the sauce being Dark Army, Event, and Scroll. These are the telltale signs of an addictive power fantasy manhwa. At least every one of Avenged has them. Man, I still remember how brain melty cool solo leveling felt when I first read it. Back then, most of the power fantasy manhwa were either too silly or way too extreme. This one was just about right. I knew we'd get an anime adaptation someday, and there he does. Even the season 3 is coming out soon. Power fantasy is still my favorite genre. I've read so many that I've built up my own system to spot the good from the bad. If you want recommendations or if there's something in manhwa you never understood, drop a comment down below and smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Helps a ton. Thank you for watching.